I'm Sol Ramirez. I am a 19-year-old artist, musician, puppeteer, and reggae lover and researcher. I'm a huge Tosh researcher, Peter Tosh, and grew up listening to the three Wailers. And from the Wailers, my world was opened up to the world of reggae and, all the amazing songwriters and musicians that have come from it. And I'm very excited to do number two in our ranking.
Greetings and blessings, one and all. This is yours truly, Daddy Lion Chandell, music and entertainment analyst and historian, radio personality representing Roots Dynamic Sound Movement and the sound selector accordingly. Also, the Roots Dynamic Experience, representing Radio DLC1 and Primal, member of the Meditation since 2007, and very much, still very much in awe that Soul is 19.
My name is Zeb Brooks, founder of Griot Marais. Great things have happened and great things are to come.
We did part one with Bunny Wailer. We ranked Bunny's whole catalog. It's in two parts because it was quite a long video and quite a fruitful catalog. And now this one should be probably one part with Bob, and next will be Peter. Then we'll be looking at the Wailers as a group from ska into 1973. And I want to thank Roger Steffens and Leroy Joy Peterson for putting together this awesome definitive discography book that I haven't really put down ever much in the past 2-3 years that I've had it. And thank Roger just for all the research and documentation that he's brought to reggae, and also Andrew Dixon, who is a YouTuber who does a lot of Beatles related videos. And from there, I got the idea that, people are doing this for all these great rock and roll and beyond musicians and groups. And I think it's about time that we do a definitive one for, the greatest reggae group ever, the Wailers, and appreciate their efforts as a group and their, continued amazing efforts individually. We also want to thank Elliot Roberts, who very much in the same vein as Andrew Dixon does a lot of Beatles discussion and ranking videos. And, just both of them together helped give me inspiration to reach out to Zeb with this project and bring in Lion Chandell and make this what it is. So thank you to all those people. Reggae.
And I personally want to give a shout for the late Timothy White, who presented us with what was ultimately regarded as the first definitive biography on the Wailers' legacy, Catch a Fire, the story of Bob Marley, which was something I couldn't put down. When it came out, he was famous also for working with Billboard, and that was definitely a huge piece of research for myself coming up. That one always got updated just as well, and that was also something to take note of. And as far as if you haven't seen the Bunny Wailer 2-part rankings, definitely go check it out. They're up right now, right here on this channel, Griot Marais Pictures. You're definitely it's 2 parts because Bunny Wailer clearly had an extensive discography, especially being the longest living of the original trio. But it was extensive for more reasons than just his life being as long as it was. It was him being the man that he was.
Again, I would also like to thank Roger Steffens for putting me in contact with Sol. And that first time we met, we just hit it off, and we've become good friends since then and stuff. And again, he's another person who inspired me from I was really young, when I was obsessed with Bob as a kid.
Hey.
And when I saw what what he did and what he knew and stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm not alone, you know.
We definitely we were never alone. Once we listened to their music, there was something that we were being reached out to, the souls and minds and hearts of those who could take in the music of the Wailers. We were never alone, you know, and so we ended up having people such as Roger Steffens and other like-minded folk who you know, came together and ultimately in one accord to really, you know, dig deep and to really, you know, to preserve the information and to for those of us who cherish it as much as we do.
Yeah. And Chandell, I'd also like to thank you for mentoring me over the years and stuff. All right, so we're doing the Bob Marley album ranking. Now, this has been done before, but the one that I saw, these guys had no business reviewing.
If I know the one you're talking about, I am with you 1000%.
Yeah, because they knew nothing about reggae, so you shouldn't touch anything reggae reggae related, you know, especially Bob. And they were being very very picky and ignorant. They were being very ignorant.
Well, they were ignorant, but within the context of their ignorance, they were also being very callous and otherwise disrespectful. They damn sure didn't know anything about ska, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
To know that to recognize the difference, it was like, oh, what is this? I think it's like, my goodness gracious.
Another thing too, they included, but this is what we're doing. They included the Wailers albums as Bob Marley albums.
I don't feel like you can. I feel like you gotta separate you gotta separate Natty Dread and Up.
Mm-hmm. So first on the list is Natty Dread. This one is number 3 on my list. For those who don't know, the cover art was done by Tony Wright.
Tony Wright. Wow.
Yeah. Amazing illustrator. He's best known for his work at Island Records and with the iconic album covers such as the Super Ape, War in a Babylon, Police and Thieves,
yep.
Sensimia. He has a variety of art styles, but on the Natty Dread cover, this is his most notable.
Among his most notable styles, right there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You can see it from here, as well as the examples that were seen on Police and Thieves, and especially War in a Babylon. Like, you notice a sense of smoothness at the front, but a jaggedness and a foreboding environment in the background. Right. Gotta love that about Tony Wright, man.
The songs that stood out to me the most were like On Them Bellyful, just the way the I3 sound on it. And just like with the Wailers, how with Bunny's vocals in the harmonies, how you could tell when he's not there, it's noticeable. Right. He was like the key harmonizer of the group and stuff. The same thing applies with the I3s with Marcia Griffiths. Marcia Griffiths' voice always cuts through the most in the harmonies, and it really shows on Them Bellyful. I love the way their harmonies blend on it, and the recording just has that really warm sound to it, and that kind of dark tone to the mix, which I really like. And then the other songs, of course, Rebel Music, So Jesse, and Revolution. You know, those are the top tracks that I picked off of the album and stuff. And number 3 on my list, I really love this album.
Natty Dread is at number 3 on my ranking as well. You know, out of the 9 total albums we're including, it's just, there's something about it I've always loved. It's always been one of my favorites. I think at this point it's it's a very important point in Bob's career. Looking back, this is the first outing without the original Wailers of Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh. They have now left to pursue their solo career, and Bob is really left to put together these new pieces of a puzzle. He's put together a new backing vocal group, the I3s, which will go on to be his three backup singers for the rest of his career, and bring on new guitarist and Al Anderson to take on lead guitar duties. And yeah, just it's an incredible album, and with highlights like Lively Up Yourself, No Woman No Cry. I'm gonna end up reading the whole set list actually, or the whole.
It's 9 tracks, go ahead.
It's just Lively Up Yourself, No Woman No Cry, Them Belly Full, Rebel Music, So Jase, which is, I think So Jase is one of my favorite Bob tracks just in general. It's such a beautiful composition. His voice is great on it, and the horns and just everything about it's so great. Bend Down Low, which is that, and Lively Up Yourself are two remakes of Wailers tunes from earlier in their career.
Right.
Yeah, Talking Blues and Revolution. Revolution's another standout for me. Again, that and So Just Say, I think, are my two favorite tracks on here. And I think just looking at that lineup of songs and seeing that a majority of these stay in the live rotation for concerts for the rest of his career, I think really is a testament to just how great of an album Natty Dread is. So it's at number 3 for me.
Lively Up Yourself in particular stands out in the fact that it was a reinvention, that it was a reinvention from the previous one from 1971, which actually, that one is, truth be told, I love the 71 version actually a lot better.
I'd agree.
That one, that was definitely a lot better. It has a, but these two have completely different grooves. The first one is a nice steady groove, and it's like the full force of Tough Gong and all the original Wailers together. But this one adds another edge to it. The 74 Natty Dread version right here. It also has a groove, but it's more get down, and it's more soulful, and it's like, wait, what you got in that bag? I love it, man. I love it. He really gets down into it. So that's how people can come to appreciate love the Natty Dread rendition, the one from 74.
That was the other word I left out. The album is very bluesy.
Right. Yeah.
Hence, there you go. Hence the Talking Blues, and we'll get to that too. Major standouts of this album. I'll start from the A side right there. So we have Lively Up Yourself, No Woman No Cry, Them Belly Full, which had an original recording that was strictly released in Jamaica before this one, a little bit more full, even more during the chuck-in part. Bob Marley was actually singing along those parts as well on the original version of that. And there's a nice dub on the B side of that one. So clearly, this was the beginning of those. This was a continuation of the politics, I guess you could say, of what was going to come from, and incidentally, kind of the beginning of the end, to a degree, of the singles that would come from, that would be released in Jamaica, any singles that would be released in Jamaica correspondent to the albums, because it's slowly but surely it kind of dwindled down toward the up until perhaps around 77, just to make that little footnote right there. So there's that. Rebel Music, love Rebel Music. Can't get over the I don't know if you notice in the verses how Family Man, there's a very specific bass line, and it's very consistent. Boom, 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 Boo, 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 boo. And then another line is boo, 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 boo. If you listen carefully, you'll know exactly where it's going. During the verses, it's absolutely amazing, and this dark atmosphere. It's such a dark nighttime atmosphere that I love about rebel music. Just
And-
keeps you there, and it's 6 minutes 40 seconds long.
yeah.
Just amazing.
And so
Mm.
if you are familiar with the remix version
Yes,
on the Rebel Music
I was gonna mention that.
compilation, if you haven't heard it before, definitely check it out.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very
Subtle.
yeah, it's a very subtle remix, but it has sort of like this spiraling reverb over it.
Mhm.
And it's very subtle, but it's different. It's really cool.
So just say, excellent. Excellent. Another thing one thing to note, most people obviously know it's a stand up because of its use of metronome. But the other thing about it is that's the first use of metronome since approximately 3 years earlier, when they were working with Lee Scratch Perry. And you notice they had they did Rainbow Country and the original version of Natural Mystic. You know, notice how there was the use of the metronome.
Yeah, but that's a no, that is a drum machine.
You're right. Drum machine is what
Yeah.
I meant to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's one of the early Roland drum machines. Was it 3 years earlier? Because that drum machine didn't come out until 72, I think. 72 or
Oh,
73.
well, then it may have been that
Yeah.
time then.
And
72 for those tracks.
yeah.
And it's interesting too with the drum machine. There's, during my research for other projects, there's been a lot of discussion on when the drum machine was like first there in Jamaica at the studio. And because there's also it was released around the time of Natty Dread, but likely was recorded in that 71 to 73 area of
Right.
a Wailers instrumental with Peter Tosh on melodica called Field Marshal. And so that's another one where it's trying to fit in this puzzle of when did this drum machine first get used and when was it first brought in and stuff. So yeah, drum machine in the Wailers music is just a really interesting kind of a combination that isn't talked about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be doggone if the original Natural Mystic and Rainbow Country were not from before 73, because the sound and the voices.
I thought
just
those
as
were
well.
done around 74, 75.
That'd have been interesting if they did, but something like that. But yeah, so just say the Willie San Francisco song. I'll always remember that as the Willie San Francisco song, because of the way Bob Marley practiced publishing back then. That's what he did. He gave writing credits to other folk on the album. That one in particular went to a man named Willie San Francisco on the original pressing, of which you Sol have one of them, which it would say that on the label, that is, most likely. And yeah, that always stood out because this one was mellow, but also in also very dark environment. There's something I really loved about it. You know, if you have the one with the custom label as it originally was, you're not gonna see it. Yep. And whoa,
Yeah.
wait, is that a French? That's a French copy. Ratted.
Yeah, made in France. Actually, it's weird. I have two. My dad has two copies, and I got the one that I haven't looked at in a while.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay, so you're not gonna see it on that
No.
version, on that original version of the labeling right there. The credits were not on that one. And Talking Blues. And Talking Blues, that one was important. I loved that one. I know the three of us and other people by now know that the song was much longer and was cut on this particular one. You cut down the verses, cut down to what they were. The fuller version was brought to us in '91 on the Talking Blues compilation, the first big project, new project in the wake of the new rebranding of Tough Gong, from Island Records after the Polygram buyout. Now I put this one actually as number 5. I have this ranking as number 5, and the thing about it was that the key thing you'll notice, this is indeed the period where Peter and Bunny are now not in the unit, and also there's also new personnel. We're not Wire is also not in the unit for some strange reason. Now we have Al Anderson and Tauta Harvey, and I believe was Downey in there just now?
No, not at this time.
Not yet. Right. Yeah. So we have new personnel, but also a new sound. If you notice, the sound on Natty Dread alone and live, and I guess live at the Lyceum when you get down to it, the sound that you hear, but specifically on Natty Dread, is the in between the sound of pre 1974 and post 1975, I guess you could say.
Right.
This is when the sound really became more fuller ultimately in 1975, even before he got to Rastaman Vibration. But as far as studio albums are concerned, obviously it was evident. I mean, it started becoming evident by the Live at the Lyceum album, and then even more so with Rastaman Vibration, which brings us actually to one more thing I have to notice: No Woman, No Cry. The original version on No Woman, No Cry pales in comparison to how he would end up doing it in at the Lyceum, and then after that.
Listening with our ears, but then also confirming it more within the complete discography, at least on the France pressing, which I have out of all of them. It's interesting how there's no credit for Lee Jaffe on harmonica.
Oh yeah.
And there's also no credit for Glenn DaCosta, David Madden, and Tommy McCook for horns. And Seco on percussion as well. They have Carly as drum and percussion for a lot of this, and unless it's re-recorded afterwards, which could be possible. But I'm seeing, according to the book,
wasn't Dirty Harry also one of the horn players?
No, I'm not seeing Dirty Harry.
All right, then I'm probably wrong on that.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Sol, because when it came to the harmonica, that stood out like a sore thumb. You can hear the harmonica on Talking Blues and Rebel Music in particular.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very glad you mentioned that, because it's like, who's playing the harmonica? So I'm very big on credits and things like that, and clearly the back cover ultimately has stayed the same throughout the vast majority of the years, even with the, if I do stand correct, even with the represses. It's just for the sake of consistency. But but I guess in more recent years, with more recent reissues, the full personnel is finally coming to, or I would hope so.
Next up is Live, 1975, Live at the Lyceum. So this one is number 9 on my list. And I'm going to get to that when we reach to the one that explains why it's number 9 on my list. Again, like I said, and we can all agree on this. Bob doesn't have a bad album.
Right.
So that was the difficult part, trying to figure out where to put,
where to place.
Yeah.
Right.
But I put this one at the bottom of the list because it's not the best live album. this does have, like what you mentioned earlier, this does have the definitive version of No Woman, No Cry.
Yep.
And it also has the definitive version of I Shot the Sheriff.
Yes.
Yeah. I really liked Lively Up Yourself on there. And I really liked the way they did Get Up, Stand Up on there. If you notice, if you listen to it, it keeps getting faster and faster as the song goes along.
Right.
Yes, Kinky Reggae was on that one too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. A tight recording of performance of that one, you know.
Yeah.
My ranking of that one is number 8. That one is 8, and definitely I would imagine for the same reasons as my brother Zeb had mentioned, and also because of the fact that that a few tracks could have been, even if it was not the full performance that we would end up getting a few years ago, you know, in a definitive 3 vinyl disc set anyway. A few additional songs could have been added as you know, now that we go back and really think about it.
Listening to the Get Up, Stand Up, going back to Get Up, Stand Up, and
Right.
hearing the you know, kind of what would, you know, once Bob and Peter split and Bob and Peter both have their solo versions, even Bunny does. I think it's really interesting seeing how Bob's slowly making it his own fully live, because this is the first instance of getting the woyos and the crowd interaction, the call and response. So it's weird because you don't hear it. Like, I remember when I was listening back to it recently, that it's not the fully developed call and response that he'll later do. It's like he's slowly starting to figure out exactly kind of how he wants to do a call and response and Get Up, Stand Up, because there's a lot of, it's not just woyo, yo, and stuff like that. Different. He's even saying words and things like that. So it's interesting seeing it slowly getting workshopped. For me, and you know, I think later down in the ranking, it's going to get even more interesting. I felt the heat when I was listing this, and I feel it could be a hot take amongst everyone, and I'm willing to hear others in the comments out on this. It was a weird choice, and I'm still not fully comfortable with, because like Zeb said, Bob doesn't have a bad album, and depending on the day, the one at the very bottom can move up to the top 3 or the top 5 or something like that. I have Live at number 6 for me out of 9. I really love the energy to it. Both live albums just have such a great energy, and I think because of my reggae researching and like reggae nerdiness, I think it's been bumped up because I see the starting points for Bob's solo live concerts, and because it's such an interesting look back, since I wasn't there when these were originally being released.
Yeah.
Because I'm there looking back on it, I think I give it a higher ranking because I'm able to see where it started and know how it developed.
Does anyone remember the I would say the standout moment in I Shot the Sheriff?
Oh, in the original recording, you mean?
No, in the live live
version. Oh wow.
I'll say it. Tyrone plays the wrong note.
Wow.
Oh,
I think it was either the 3rd or 4th time they do the you know the break. And he hits like, I think a flat note or something like that, and it is very noticeable because it's loud.
Right.
And I'm like, they kept that in the recording. Next up is Rastaman Vibration. I have the deluxe version right here.
The regular version.
Oh.
Now,
Mm.
ooh, and he's got the vinyl.
Yeah.
Oh,
With the deluxe version, it has the dub of I think it has the dub of Roots Rock Reggae and the dub of Ja Live.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's why I really had to get this one, because when it comes to Tough Gong dubs,
Mm.
you are not gonna find a lot of them get an official CD release, which is a damn
No.
shame. Just anything from Tough Gong, it's just there's so much on that label, and it's just ignored. I'm not even gonna get into that, but it's something that's just kind of infuriating. So you notice like how the mixes are and just how the recordings are in general of the Island albums. They have a brightness to it in the high frequencies and stuff. But with this one, I've noticed that the high frequencies are kind of
Mid-range.
yeah. Not to say that it sounds bad.
No, I know.
Just thought that, I just listening to it, because it's recorded, both Rastaman Vibration and Natty Dread were both recorded at Harry J.
Mm.
So I wonder what the difference was. Again, it has this rawness to it. Did over another Wailers tune, Cry to Me. I love this version off of it.
Yes.
I love Want More. Night Shift, another Wailers one that was done over. Love that.
Wait. Okay, hold on. When was the original Night Shift? Because people.
Oh yeah. It's the original version is called "It's All Right."
Oh yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
There it is. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. And he just adds the word night shift in this particular one, and then he just decides to call it night shift.
Shoot, would you say on Crazy Bald Heads is this the first time that the Wail was recorded?
Huh.
Because he's done it before in performances. But as far as recordings go, I think this was the first
formal recordings.
Yeah,
I think it might be onto something with this one. Yeah,
I ranked it at number 8.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And this was the thing. I was going between Exodus and Rastaman Vibration and stuff, but and originally I was going to put Exodus below Rastaman Vibration.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I was reviewing Exodus, I was like, okay, maybe not.
Zeb, it was good matching with you with Natty Dread, because gentlemen, Rastaman Vibrations is number 1 for me.
Oh
wow, this is getting interesting right now.
Yeah. Rastaman Vibration. I went back, reviewed it. I also did the exact same thing. I was playing Exodus right afterwards, listening to it again. Let's just say, while it is very interesting how different the ranking is, still on any given day, any re-listen to a single track can shift it. But Rastaman Vibration has always been, I think, one of my favorite Bob albums. I think, again, just like going to while nostalgia didn't get me as far with Reincarnated Souls, the box set for Bunny Wailer, which we talk about in the Bunny ranking, I also have very fond memories of Rastaman Vibration, because this was, the CD was given to me on maybe my 12th birthday, I'd say. And it was given by from my parents. And it was really like my first individually owned CD that was gifted to me. So it was kind of my first piece of personal music that I was being gifted.
Awesome.
And
look at that.
It's just, I'd say, just the energy. And I'd say also, because later on we're gonna see two within a year of each other, 2 very different albums on message and stance, really, in some ways, or how the public views it. I love Man to Man, the original version of
Right.
Bit.
Yeah.
And I think it shows that I just love the song just in general. It's such great and sharp lyrics, and both versions I think are done really great. And I think I'm just thankful he chose to have this song re-recorded and updated and kind of give it a little bit of its time to shine, because it would be such a hidden track if not.
Absolutely.
And Rat Race, I think, is going along with So Jase, one of my favorite Bob tracks. Just the catchiness to it, the horns on it, Bob's vocals, the message behind it is, something about it has always grabbed a hold on me, I guess, when I first got the CD, and hasn't let go in the past 7.5 years. And then also, I am surprised that we didn't talk about War yet on Rastaman Vibration, and War being one of Bob's biggest protest freedom fighting songs, taken from the Haile Selassie speech.
Right.
And this would go on to be, like, I'd say maybe
iconic.
the staple in the rest of his live concerts. And it's just incredibly iconic, and is such a powerful track for just 3.5 minutes. And the thing is too, and it's interesting because I feel like we'll get more into it with the later live album, but then also I think I have a lot of these similar thoughts moving on with Peter and his solo recorded stuff versus the live album, that I think War is taken to even greater heights live. And just, it's such a passionate song that
Absolutely.
When it's sung in the moment with the energy of a live crowd, it just goes 10 times above. But just this being the foundation of it. Also, I mean, the album artwork too, again, so far Bob doesn't have a single bad album cover, I'd say. And I feel like maybe some might think that's a weird point to make, but coming off of Bunny's album rankings, I think it's another strong point for Bob.
Point.
Yeah.
And Neville Garrett doing this amazing cover, and Neville basically sticking with Bob then afterwards from here on out. And I love this album so much, and number one for me.
All right.
For me, this one is very close. So I have this one actually is number 2. Actually, I have this one is number 2.
I am gonna get ripped apart in the comments.
I know, because I was seeing some for the Bunny video. I noticed too that some people were disagreeing in the comments with Zeb's stance on a couple of albums, and I think maybe it was Struggle. With the album Struggle.
Yeah, it was Struggle.
Right.
Yeah, and so we'll see how the people react to this one. But
all I gotta say is, come at me.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
Have it at number 2. Excellent album from back to front. From beginning to end. So that's the crucial factor right there. In which when you know for a fact that you can listen to an album from top to bottom, have no trouble, repeatability, full on repeatability, and it strikes a chord with every single one in every single way with every tune. That's a part of how something like this comes to a high ranking. Yeah, so Positive Vibrate. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't called Rastaman Vibration as the title, because that is where it came from. But still, that's a boom right there. Roots rock reggae. Enough said about that. Enough said. Just solid. Cry to me. Oh, this Rastaman Vibration also serves in very some would say that all of the albums did, those that involved covers of previous works, but this one was very, very special in really, really keeping those works in our minds. I guarantee you, no one would have known about "Cry to Me." Definitely that one, had it not been for this album. And
Yeah.
Man to Man, aka Who the Cap Fit. Now, I was more familiar. This is kind of funny right here. I was way more familiar with the original version. I was way more familiar with the original version in '71, and so it really took me by surprise, because it took me a while to get my actual hands on Rastaman Vibration. Took me a while to get it. I actually first got to hear Who the Cap Fit on the Songs of Freedom box set. That's how I was first able to get it. And then a year later, I finally got the and then of course I heard Johnny Was, and oh my God, you know. But as far as the Who the Cap Fit, the way it was done, from two different eras, but both equally as excellent. The message is equally as powerful and prevalent. But you got one side from the original Wailers trio, and then this side from Bob with the I3s, and there's no real comparison that can be made. I mean, although I will say that he really made sure that this new version in '76 really had to hit home. He really made this one extra powerful with its slightly slower tempo, and then he let the sister really speak and sing out all the same. It was just powerful on so many ends. You mentioned the dubs for Ja Live, but Ja Live never made it to Rastaman Vibration.
Yeah.
No, it was only a single. Yeah, but it's from that session.
And it is a bonus.
Right. Definitely, it was from the session. It was from the sessions, strictly released in Jamaica.
The dub version of Ja Live is called Concrete.
Concrete, right?
Yeah, that also has at the beginning of it has his wail at the beginning before the song starts. Yeah,
and it's really interesting to me too, because this is how I knew the album, and I knew it with the bonus track at the end, with Ja Live at the end of it, because this was, my only means of hearing Rastaman Vibration. And so for the longest time, I kind of didn't even register that it wasn't on the album. And to me, I think it's the perfect album closer for it. I think this is in some ways the definitive way to hear it is with Ja Live at the end after Rat Race.
But if there was any disappointment of anything being that was left out of that one, it was the omission of Roots.
That one too.
Yeah, one. Which no. The difference is that one actually did make it throughout the. Actually, I think that's the only one that didn't even make it to Jamaica. In terms of single release, that one was released as a single in the UK and the US. It was the B-side of Roots Rock Reggae, if I stand correct.
Oh, was it? Okay, I thought it was released during the Exodus time, because here's the crazy thing. Roots is not featured on the deluxe edition of Rastaman Vibration.
Right.
It's on the Exodus deluxe edition.
It is. But the recording was definitely from '76.
It's from the same session. Yeah.
Same Rastaman Vibration sessions. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. It says it right there. B-side of Waiting in Vain.
Waiting. Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
The reason this stuck out so much to me with the white background, it's not there on the CD version. So I don't know what the original version is. I mean, I guess
same on the deluxe too. Yeah, it's
the original is with the white background, and I guess maybe afterwards they decided to omit or correct it. But strange. Interesting nerd stuff.
Next up is Exodus. like I said, I was going back and forth between the two of them and just listening to the tracks and which one stood out. Because here's the thing. I didn't think I liked this one as much. You know what I mean? I think it's just because of the fact that it's so popular.
Yeah.
Because it was voted the album of the 20th century.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And because, all right, obviously I don't like Three Little Birds. I don't like what was the other one? I don't like One Love.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, not that. But here's the thing: it's not that the songs are bad.
They're just overplayed. They're completely commercial now.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat, really.
So now you got me rethinking if I should put Rastaman Vibration over it. Maybe I will. You know what?
You actually got me thinking of that one right now too. I mean, as far as where Exodus is on mine, you got me thinking of that one.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I guess that gives that away for where Exodus is.
But you see what this. I give up. No.
No. Go ahead.
No. I'm just playing. Here was what really caught me with this album. I mean, you just start off from the beginning, Natural Mystic. The way the groove just locks.
Yeah.
The way it just locks in. It fades in like a wave, like an ocean wave. It's just fading in. And then when it reaches full volume, the beat just locks so damn tight. And also, again, the way it's mixed, because the songs sort of go into each other, which I noticed Island releases have a tendency. They had a tendency of mixing albums like that, to where if the songs don't blend into each other, they slightly do. And here's a good example on So Much Things to Say, and when it goes into Guiltiness, you notice that it just goes right in.
Yeah. I remember when I was re-listening to this, because I hadn't played this in a while, and when I was re-listening to it on my turntable, for a second I thought maybe it like skipped or something. I was like, what? It was a interesting transition for sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't super smooth, but it made a statement, which I think is maybe more so what they were going for.
Right. Yeah. And with Guiltiness too, again, another mistake that I'm surprised they did not fix during the recording session was Family Man goes off on the bass. He loses his place right at the end when it's fading out.
Of what? Guiltiness?
Guiltiness, yeah.
Oh, that's what I figured you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't figure that was okay. See, with musicians such as you and I, we would look at that as a mistake, given that it's gone off structure. But you listen to exactly how it was played. I never saw it as a mistake.
He screwed up.
I'm with you on that one. I'm definitely with you on that one. He screwed up because he should not have went there. But here's where I'm coming from, right? Because here's the deal. The thing with musicians is that there are many times when, if you notice with songs of various of other genres, you'll notice that there is what I call the conclusive moment. There's a moment, there's a particular point in time in which, toward the end of a song, where they give you this is the mark when this is now it's time to end the song, and that's where and that's what I caught. That's what I took out of that mess up right there. With what you're talking about. I didn't like that any more than you did, but it was right there at the toward the, clearly that was the fade out point.
Because again, if you take out the most popular songs, it's the ones that are overlooked on the album are the best songs on the album. And my favorite one is The Heathen, which is the shortest track, probably the shortest track he's ever done in the Island years. It's 2 minutes 32 seconds. Could you
Wow.
believe that?
I could say it was slightly longer than that.
No, it's that short.
And it's weird too, because this one, especially when live, like it's such a good one to jam out on.
Yeah.
Like just keep
Right.
repeating the chorus. And that's usually how they do it. And it's weird. Like I wonder if there is some kind of extended mix somewhere, or
There might be, maybe. But
Nah.
here's the other thing too. Compared to the live one, they could not get it the same way as it was on the recording. The way the chorus was in the recording had this drive to it, like an army charging. You know what I mean? I did not get it the same way like when I heard it on like Live at the Rainbow and stuff. It just
You mean
wasn't.
like how the rhythm guitar drives it and whatnot?
No, I'm talking about when they sing the chorus.
do you think it's potentially because of like the male vocal overdubs rather than when it's live, it's just the I3s and Bob?
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, last one, which is Turn Your Lights Down Low.
They are the only R&B joint.
Yeah. I mean, it is just a beautiful track. Everything about it was just done so perfect, you know? When I listened back, because that was a song I never listened to, a long time ago. And then when I started listening to it down the road, I was like, dang, this is such a great song, you know? I mean, and again, it's compared to the terrible three. Just kidding. Compared to that, sorry, Roger. I know "Waiting in Vain" is your favorite song, but no. Again, "Turn Your Lights Down Low" is so overlooked.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny too because the I3s also hated "Waiting in Vain."
Really?
And that's why it was never like performed live much, because it was about Cindy and not
about Cindy.
yeah. So the I3s were standing with Rita on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
I was looking at that. It's like when you said they hated it, I was like, well, it's like that's news to me. But then it immediately clicked in because it could never be about the song in itself, but about
Right.
the nature of what it was and where it was coming from, and so naturally, yeah.
And you know something, I'm gonna switch out Rastaman Vibration and Exodus.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, I'm doing a live switch because the more I thought about it, and I could have sworn I was sure about this, but then I was reminded about what was on Exodus instead of thinking about the songs I like, and I was like, well, I actually like more songs on Rastaman Vibration. So for the sake of that, I'm bumping down Exodus to 8.
I have Exodus a little bit, higher up, as in a little bit better in the ranking. I have it at number. Let me see. What? Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure. I have it cracking in the top 5 at number 5. I think. I feel it seems like we all agree about not the song itself, not it was originally, but for me, the second half, even when I was re-listening this, the B-side just wasn't doing it for me as much, just because that's where all the commercial ones are at. But I still think recognizing its significance for Bob is important, those tracks, because that's what helped keep him, in the mind of a lot of modern music today. For in some ways better, for worse, that's how people see Bob. They don't see Talking Blues, Revolution, and So Just Say. They see Three Little Birds and One Love. They don't
Yeah.
they don't see, I feel like bombing a church now that I know that the preacher is
Preacher
lying.
is lying.
They see
Yeah.
every little thing's gonna be all right.
Mhm.
And I think that's really interesting. And but still in their original purpose, they are good songs. They're just a little bit too commercial and overplayed for me. So that's really what's keeping it from being in the top 3, I'd say. I think another interesting thing that I've seen, I never really noticed it until past maybe year or so, when I started seeing people saying that this is Bob's concept album. That the first half has Natural Mystic, So Much Things to Say, Guiltiness, The Heathen, and ends on Exodus. And the rest of them never get to that point politically afterwards. The rest are all love songs. So people have claimed that this is Bob's concept album of like two sides of the coin.
Right.
That's an interesting take on it.
Yeah,
I always thought Survival was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I guess maybe potentially first concept or album. But I think that's interesting because it does seem to check out. I don't know if it was intentional or not. But yeah, the A side is where it's at for me. The newer Live at the Rainbow releases that were put up only digitally.
At first.
Getting all of the concerts from that stop in 77. So Much Things to Say as the second track on the 1st of June blew me away when I heard it live. And it's one that I don't hear performed live too much. And I think it's great. It's great live and sounded. I really love the track. Like I said, the transition into Guiltiness was a little weird for me. It felt like back to Wailers to Beatle comparisons, things like that. That the Beatles on Abbey Road, John Lennon's track, I Want You, She's So Heavy, just cuts at the end. It's like, it's a very long track and it's going on and ending on a jam, and then it just cuts. There's no end. It just cuts out. And it was intentional. And I'm guessing that's why it makes me think going from So Much Things to Say into Guiltiness, two different like feeling songs for sure.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's like, what, as you think it's it's not a happy song, So Much Things to Say,
right.
But
not at all.
But it's, the music is much more upbeat in the more traditional reggae, and how it just cuts like right when you think you're safe or know what to think, it cuts into Guiltiness, and
then it goes into this darker environment.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. I don't know if it's the most enjoyable for casual listening, but just as a concept piece for the art, it's very interesting. Exodus, like, I'd say maybe one of the best tracks on the album, top 3. And again, just like War, Exodus live takes it to just 10 times the studio version, in my opinion. Great album. Again, Bob didn't make a bad album, but due to the commerciality of some of the tracks later on in their life, it's dropped down to number 5 for me, but still really awesome cover art.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I'm 1000% with the both of you. As a matter of fact, I was there a long time ago in regards to the matter of the commercialization of or the over commercialization of those the 2 tracks in particular. And what's so interesting about that is I have Exodus listed at number 3, and part of the high this high part of this being in my top 5. I know this album from a long time ago. I know this album from long before the commercialization. So this ranking ultimately is from an organic, is a strictly organic standpoint. So this was before, this from my knowledge and love of the songs and of the music before you know, Babylonian, influence started to try to, um, sprinkle their poison all over the true essence and meaning of and legacy of Bob the Man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And just one love in general.
And the revolution, right? You say, thank you, exactly. Side A is the pain and the suffering. B side is the joy and and upliftment. So
Right.
and new rebirth. If well, I can't say rebirth since there's no death involved, but you get where I'm going. The joy and upliftment from the breaking from the pain and the suffering. So okay, so natural mystic, fading in, taking us into a warning as to what's ahead. Boom. So much things that then as it fades away, then we go into so much things to say. Ooh. I was so tempted to mimic that lick, that opening drum lick. I can't. I could, but I just couldn't do it for this moment, because it's just that bad for real, man. It's tough, and the beginning of guiltiness, which incidentally enough, it was that short intro. It was that short intro that actually sort of threw me off even more so than that abrupt ending. You notice how the like that short
Right.
intro is like nothing else you ever hear from any other Bob Marley and the Wailers track ever,
Right.
before or after. It's so short, and then it just comes in right there. But then, even still, you can't even watch that because once he takes you into guiltiness, and you hear the slight vocals of the hints, just peeking out from the rafters. It's the I3. It's talking about guiltiness, just so sweet but so subtle in the background. And then everyone's together talking about woe until the dawn press, so they eat the bread of sorrow.
Such a great part.
Such my goodness, great. And the bass line. Oh, don't even get me started on Family Man with that. Taking that into consideration, we can almost be quite sure that this was that a concept album. Whether or not they were boasting it, they clearly were not necessarily boasting it per se,
Right.
but it was a huge deal.
Right.
Just the concept alone, just the fact that you have just this one big album cover, Bob Marley and the Wailers at the top, Exodus, big letters in the middle, everything else is on the back burner. This was a big deal. And who couldn't love the first verse? Many people will fight you down. Tell me why. And you see that energy coming from Bob, and then they call the response, when you see your light. Then we have, and then so now we have part two, already starting on a tight note with one of the greatest, and I mean greatest, reggae compositions of all time, Jamming.
Yeah.
One would have figured that one would have been over commercialized, but thank God. Well, actually, you know something? You can't even really over commercialize that, because that one is too good for them to for the powers that be to over commercialize. It's just that powerful.
Yeah, especially
Right.
when you hear what he's saying in the song.
Right.
Yeah.
And then comes Two Love Songs, Waiting in Vain. Just the bass work on that one is, you forget the nature of the song itself, but that bass line is unforgettable. That is iconic. Well, let's face it. What was that thing you said earlier, Zeb, regarding that one, about the fact that not a lot of people,
that it's overlooked. Turn your lights on.
Yeah, it's highly overlooked. Same with me. When I was able to actually get get it formally, because for me, after a long time before actually getting it in your hand, like I said, I heard it just only on a dubbed on a cassette, but not with the actual artwork. I want everything. I want the official package before.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So after I finally get it, and it's like, okay, here's what I'm familiar with, and I'm familiar with damn near everything else except this one. The Turn Your Lights Down Low is very glaring. Plus the fact that it's R&B. it's the fact that it's an R&B song that's the key reason, first and foremost, why it was overlooked by the vast majority of people up until the last few decades. As a matter of fact, Three
Right.
Little Birds was also overlooked before 1984.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that was the cause of it.
Right. It was ultimately the popularity of Legend, and for all intents and purposes, not even as much in 1984. 1984 is when Legend featured it.
That was when it
But
started.
not. Yeah. Definitely, that's when it started. That's why I had to mention it. But even more so after 1990,
Right.
when the Diamond Faboni remasters from were issued, were released. Those reissues from 1990, and I still love One Love to this day. One Love, people get ready. I still love that one to this day, especially in the form of the remix. The remix, you listen to the remix that came out in 1984, and especially the extended version of such, you definitely come to appreciate love it more. You know.
Well, like I said, I did before I found out how popular it was.
Right.
Then I got sick of it.
I think what's also interesting about One Love is, unless I'm mistaken, that's the Wailers cover for this album, or remake. And what's interesting is Bunny
and Natural Mystic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. And Natural Mystic. What's interesting is, because of how big this version is, very little people already know that it was, and not even during the reggae area, but during the ska period.
Right.
Is when it was done. And then even less people would know that Bunny had a verse on it, on their original version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yeah,
I'm ready. Oh, the rat race thing I wanted to mention quickly.
Okay, go ahead. Because it's weird that you're kind of stalling on this one.
Me? Oh,
yes.
Trust me, we're getting to it. The bass line where we just goes down and up and down and up right there in the middle of the verse. Killer. So aside from the message itself, and he even takes us, I think, just damn near biblical on this one too. Same way. I mean, the bass line in itself is just killer like that. And
all right, here we go.
I think we can all agree that we've got to have Kaya now. That's just what it is.
I put Kaya at number 2.
All right.
Yeah. You'll find out which one is my number 1 as we move along. But if that one didn't exist, this one would be number 1. This one is okay. Let's go back and go through those first 3. All right. The way the mixing was on them, it wasn't too much to it, This one took the mixing to another level. It has this heavy reverb, in it and stuff. Oh, by the way, this is the 40th anniversary edition, so it has that special back cover on it.
Right.
Yeah, really cool.
You done did it, man.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations. There you go. I've mentored you well.
True. I just love, really, this was the selling point for me. I wasn't too crazy about it there being remixes on there. I just wanted the album on vinyl. But when I saw how well this was packaged and something special that's on the sleeve as well that I'll get to. So it starts off very strange too. With Easy Skanking.
Something to that effect. Easy Skanking.
It just starts. I always found it weird when they edit out the
drum
rolls.
the opening drum rolls. Yeah,
yeah, and it's just abrupt when it hits, but when it hits, it hits.
yeah.
You know. Then Kaya, again, another Wailers remake.
Right.
This is the one that has that wet sound to it.
Yep.
And then that sort of off-key synth. That's what really drew me in on this version. I love that weird off-key synth that's in there.
Yeah.
And this one just rocks different compared to the
the
Upsetter version.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
It puts that one to sleep. I'm gonna say it right out the gate. Much as I love the original version, this one puts that one to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, Is This Love? I'll just skip past that. We already know what it is. And you're gonna elaborate. Chandell, you're gonna elaborate on it,
I most certainly will.
Yeah. Okay, Sun is Shining. I will say I like the Upsetter version better.
Agreed.
All right, then we have side 2, which is She's Gone.
Right.
Just going back to Exodus briefly. If you hear the where is that at? The alternate version of Waiting in Vain. The melody to that is very similar to She's Gone. So it's on the album version, it's a lot different. So it's like they took the melody from the alternate version of Waiting in Vain and put it to She's Gone. If that made sense. Did I confuse anyone?
In which part? Like
in the verses. I would say my all-time favorite Bob Marley tune. Crisis.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Killer.
I don't know about anyone else, but this one is number 1 on my list. It is. I remember when I first heard it, because I did not have Kaya growing up. It was in a documentary called Land of Look Behind.
I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah. Land of Look Behind was the documentary on Bob's funeral. And it also explores the cockpit country in Jamaica. It plays at the end when the credits are rolling. That's the first time I heard it.
Wow.
And I was just in awe from it because I never heard this song before. I was maybe 9-10 years old. And just the way that it just sweeps, the way the groove just sweeps right over you, I never heard another Bob track that has that
quite like that.
That melody. It's again, I'm not good at wording things properly when it comes to stuff like this, but when it gets you, it gets you. And this one got me.
Gets you.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. Because now we have Time Will Tell, which is a mystery. And now,
biggest mystery of all,
because as you know, in the original lyric sheet, it says to be continued.
I'm the man who is the keeper of the songbook, right? So we just do the recording time for time. Yeah, I got the songbook. Boy, skipper, think I forget it. Man, look and say, I really forget it. I said, but skipper, is you write the song? Because time I do it, I mean, you must remember it. I said, Gary, over 500 songs I write. Or me for remember every song. So anyway, we're going to do it. So I did it, and if you look on the lyrics of Time Will Tell, it's very short. And I had to ad-lib through some of it because the verses weren't there. Blame never Garrett. So at the end of the lyrics, if you check the Time Will Tell, you'll say, to be continued.
So the lyrics it would have been totally different.
Wow.
And according to Neville Garrick, he said the original lyrics were, "Jah would never give the power to a Paul head," as in Pope Paul.
Huh.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense.
So Bob only remembered that first.
Even though what we have also makes sense. Jah will never give
Right.
the power to a bald head.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense in itself. But this, whoo.
So the only part Bob remembered was that first verse, which was, "Back them up, oh, not the brothers, but the ones who set them up." And then here's the rest of the verse. "Show you these claws to defeat my cause. Time alone, oh, time will tell. You think you're in heaven, but you're living in hell. Up on the cross, we have paid the price. Some have loved, some was just for sacrifice. Hope you have achieved. Hope you are satisfied with what you receive. Woe be to the one who shed the innocent blood. You can get away from man, but you can't get away from God." And then at the end, it was, "Woe feel Jah power, woe feel Jah power, woe feel Jah power. Oh, come along. Oh, come, my people. Don't be deceived by what they say. Time alone, or time will tell." Those are that was what Time Will Tell was supposed to be.
That is deep.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'm hearing that too. That's wow. We're having a little bit of a reverse Rastaman Vibration going on here, Zeb, because I have Kaya at number 8.
Oh.
Again, re-emphasizing
That's awesome.
there's no bad album to me.
Right.
And I think one interesting thing is, as far as my memory with reading these things serves me, correct me if I'm wrong, critics didn't love this album coming off of Exodus.
Right.
Yeah.
Exodus, for the most part, especially the A side, is such a heavy hitter, and this one's a lot more mellow. I mean, starting with Easy Skanking as as the beginning to the album, I think right away tells you it's going to be a very different ride and experience from Exodus. And I like Easy Skanking. I really like the live version from Boston that was put out, the Easy Skanking Boston 78.
Right. Back in 14.
Yeah. And to me, though, I think in some ways I do agree. I feel it's a little bit of a lighter album, and I tend not to favor those ones as much. Maybe it's because, maybe it's because, out of the 3, I connect so much with Peter Tosh, and just going for that more rebel, instinct or whatever. So coming off of Exodus, going into Kaya, I can see how some might be taken aback by it a little bit. That being said, though, again, Crisis and Time Will Tell are hands down my favorite tracks on here. I love both of them. I really love Time Will Tell. I like I like the relaxed nature of it. I like Bob's vocals, and now knowing the backstory to it too, and how it still comes out as as like an actual take rather than someone trying to remember what they were saying, I think makes it even more impressive. I think Sun is Shining. I think the original version is far superior in my eyes. I think I love the i3s. I think they don't bring it on this track, or the decision to have so much emphasis on the backing vocals with the i3s on this track, I don't think serves it as well as in the original. And I think also, the original Sun is Shining.
Sun is Shining.
And I think I think just the overall tone and mood in the original recording of it with the original Wailers, I think just matches the song a lot better. I think the really ghostly melodica by Peter Tosh in the background, it really helps add to it. And I think
Quick side note.
I like, huh?
Quick side note.
Mhm.
The backing band on the original version is Soul Syndicate.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
It kind of
Well,
explains a lot.
yeah.
Perry produced it, but it was a different backing band.
Yeah, he used
With-
Soul Syndicate on it. They're on that, and they're on Mr. Brown.
On the original version is just so great. That near breaking, like, almost shouting he's doing is just, it matches it a lot better than I feel like this more polished vocal take for the Kaya album. I feel Kaya is the at the bottom of the poignant album covers, and I think it makes it a lot better with how Zeb was showing the 40th anniversary edition on the back, but the front, taking into account what Kaya is, they're likely intentional to not, take the legalize it approach and immediately get some metal gates dropped on you from getting that out to the masses. So obviously it's a strategic way, but still it just doesn't, I don't feel like it captures the title track enough. And I feel like out of all of the one, and especially how that's the last time that Bob's face is going to be the main
focus.
And looking at the other two times, I think these are far superior ones.
I agree.
And so yeah, it's not meant to. I'm more so because I agree with basically all of the highs that you shared for Kaya. I'm just bringing in some of my thoughts on why I ranked it a little bit lower. Still, again, time will tell. Crisis. Is this love is what it is. It's kind of soared past the into the more commercial realm. I feel like in some ways, and I enjoy the keyboards and the synths on this album too, although at times I feel like it can be a little much. Oh wait, the last one, She's Gone too, totally overlooked, way too overlooked in Bob's catalog. The what's the line that you have the lyrics of it? It's "Oh Mockingbird, have you ever heard songs I never heard before?
Words that I never heard.
Words that I never heard before." I mean, that's such a great. I mean, it's kind of just it's thrown in there at the end, but it's such a good line, and I think I'd say Time Will Tell, Crisis, and She's Gone are the three that I think stuck with me more because I felt more of a substance to them than some of the other ones.
This is one that I've grown up with big time. This one for me, as far as this lineup of Bob Marley and the Wailers albums post Peter and Bunny, is at number 1. Kaya is number 1 for me. That smile on Zeb's face is because he figured as much.
I know, because he doesn't. He won't stop talking about it.
I won't stop talking about it. and here's why. And there was a very interesting points that you brought up, Sol. But follow me on this one right here. All right.
Of course.
All right. So okay. So yeah. So easy. Oh, even I mean, it's number 1 even in spite of everything of what happened. There are like numerous. You notice that most of the like the vast majority of the tracks on here don't have opening rules. You notice that, and there's no way there's not a single in any instance you're not going to hear any song in which Carlton Barrett is not going to give you an opening role. The opening roles of Carly Barrett are signature to the Wailers Tough Gong sound. Period.
Right.
So there's no possible way that he just up and didn't have it in there. They exist for, although I haven't heard it too much as far as Easy Skanking. Definitely one exists for Easy Skanking. Definitely one for She's Gone. As She's Gone. You notice how short it is in general. I mean, we hear an opening roll and She's Gone, but that's after the intro. That's after the real intro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's Gone actually has just like Talking Blues. There's actually an extra verse in the bridge. It's like a different frame of notes of phrasing. There's a different phrasing completely, and that's where the intro is, and he has some extra lyrics within that phrasing that really explains even more, or supposedly, about how or why she's gone. And actually, for all intents and purposes, there is a bit of a confusion in the lyrics right there, which I guess sort of led to the ultimate decision to cut that part out. But it's
Yeah.
still worthwhile to hear where he was coming from.
But yeah,
all
listen
the
back
same.
to it again. You'll hear where it's cut.
Right.
It sounds very strange. It's right after the first verse.
Mhm.
Legalizing
In your face,
was
yeah.
a firm declaration for legalizing marijuana.
Mhm.
Kaya, on the other hand, was more so a mild endorsement,
Right.
which clearly he had done it before. That's his cover. That's one of his covers on his remakes, I should say, for this album. But in this case, it was more so of a a mild endorsement of such, and an excellent reconstruction. This one definitely definitely yeah definitely is a superior version over the original one from the Upsetters, the original 71 version. Is This Love? Proudest moment, it has to be the proudest moment for the I3s. You really, really listen to it, to how deeply they put their hearts and souls into that. Ooh,
Yeah.
no, there's no one else before or after. There's nothing like it that was ever before that, nothing like that will ever come after the fact. And the way it was mixed and engineered, the reverb is all about the place. Oh, and as far as here's the other thing. Again, because of its being featured on Legend, that was a key to how it would become commercialized. Yes, it was a hit at the time. Yes, it did have its it's but let me tell you something. They weren't doing it for the sake of these tracks, the way they were made. They weren't being done for the sake of going commercial. I'm with this version more, the 78 version more, but the original version of Satisfy My Soul, aka Don't Rock My Boat, is also up there just as well. I'm definitely with you because he's more raw. He's more so free. He's got his bass lyrics in there, but everything else is more so, is freestyled for the most part, straight from the heart. He's expressing himself, and he's just going with it for the whole track. So I really and truly appreciate love the original version just the same. I can't even really, as far as arrangement is concerned, because the other thing is the slight the slight bounce, the pep in your steppers type of mode for this version of Satisfy My Soul, and the horns, the way the horns are swelling in there. That's the thing that drives this one. So it really takes it to another level. So just like the other tune from before, in which I said just like Man to Man, I'm going with an equal. No one above the other. They both stand out as their own. But as far as a musical arrangement type of situation, I would have to go this one just slightly above for what it was worth. She's gone. I didn't like the fact that it was. I knew from back then, from the original days, something was off, something was wrong, that it was cut way too short. I knew it was cut too short, but before I even knew the whole thing about what. It's like I had a backstory in my own mind as a youth before getting into the story of how it came to be, why that was, you know. And like I said, from what I've seen from the alternate takes and stuff that I've heard, I can see why. Misty Morning. Whew. Check this out. This is specifically for you, Soul. You ever go into a store? You ever go in your supermarket, right? Take a good look at those sizes right there, those full ounces at the bottom. Really pay attention to them, because as you will see, if you haven't noticed already, those lyrics, how can you ever give your more to receive your less, will really kick in. The more you see things go, the more you see the shrinkflation going on. That whole shrinkflation right there, Lord of mercy. Obviously, Crisis tops it off right there. And if you get to hear original pre-album renditions of, wait. The one thing to notice is the final take. The final take in which it would seem as if he was really, really high on that and on Running Away. So he's definitely more straightforward in previous or an alternate vocal takes. But Running Away, same thing with Running Away, but it's even more evident that there was a high that was going on. So that brings us back to the matter of the artwork and how this sort of became maybe an inadvertent, accidental type of concept album. Now, if you take the lyrics out, right, then you concentrate into how serious they were really getting with even more so with the music, and how everything came out from the foundation to down to the mix. The music still rings. This was an example of how reggae it should be done, and it should be consistent from beginning to end, even though we took a different turn with Time Will Tell, which I'll get to that in a second. Running Away is another one. I mean, granted, the high that he had in that song was one thing, but you still have to take into consideration what he said. You still can't get away from what was said. Can't run away from yourself. And then at the end, he quotes a Bible verse. You know, it is better to live in the housetop than to live in a house full of confusion, which of course is the verse that says better to live on the rooftop of a house than to live inside with a quarrelsome woman. You know.
Yeah.
It's very, very much so that's what it is right there. And then we come to the real calm, you know. So after everything is done, so we're out, we're in the high. Now we're getting down to, and which, by the way, starting from Crisis, then Running Away, that's when the seriousness starts. It's what a lot of people really missed out on, what the critics missed out on, you know. So for all intents and purposes, from Exodus on to here, and then getting ready to go into Survival,
it did a reverse.
You're noticing, right? So he's got that mellow mood, which is a title of one of his songs, by the way. And then after the calm, after a storm, there must be a calm, and then back around again. You see. After the calm must be the storm. So here comes the beginning of the storm with Crisis, then Running Away, and then Time Will Tell, and which was the first of its kind to sort of present us with what I call Bingy groove.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Bingy groove, which is of course the rhythm of Naya Bingy with accompaniment of bass.
with Babylon by Bus now. I put this one up at number 4. This is his best live album, at least from the time when he was alive, you know?
Right.
Definitely his best. I just love the entire recording, you know? It feels like you're there,
Yes.
you know? And the crowd is just going insane. Just the way the reaction is of the crowd. It's, you know, it's real, but at times you feel like, is this, you know, like an overdubbed track or something? But no, that's just how freaking crazy they were that night or those nights.
Yeah.
And I mean, the band was on fire. The band was on fire, especially with Punky Reggae Party.
Yes.
Rat Race. And I love the way Exodus just kicks in. It's phenomenal.
I originally had Live at number 6 and Babylon by Bus at number 7. The only reasoning for that, because Babylon by Bus is a far superior live album. I mean, it's amazing, but it's a compilation. It's taking the best of the best. So of course it's going to be the best of the best because it's not a full concert on its own. So in some weird reasoning, that's why I was going to put it behind the full real concert recording. But as soon as I gave my ranking for live, I completely started rethinking it. So I'm going to bump Live down to number 7 and put Babylon by Bus at number 6. Again, I feel like, you know, there's only 2 studio albums that it's above, because I feel like a lot of the times the live ones, even though how great they are, they just can't go above too many studio albums because it's, you know, but you know, when I was playing this last week, I was loving it. The energy in it, the band. I mean, you can tell it's the best. It's the best of the best, basically, from this tour. And the energy, it like you feel like you're there in person watching it. And the best tracks I'd say were Positive Vibration. Punky Reggae Party was really great.
Right.
I love that version on here. Stir It Up was really great as well. War, you have to put a live War in there. And
/ No More Trouble.
Yeah. And Jamming. But yeah, those were my favorite standout tracks. But I was tempted to just say everything on here was my favorite.
Zeb and I are on this one. This is number 4 ranking for me.
Sweet.
And I mean, I know exactly what you mean because
Right.
what it is a combination, really.
From
a combination
4
takes on a whole different ball game as far as the semantics of it all. But but this is ultimately a combination of performances from, I believe, 3 locations.
I think it's 4.
4, right? Like 4 different locations. Very few before, if not none at all. I would have almost contended that the Wailers was the first to do this. You know, if not for all genres, definitely the first in reggae to go it at a different route. Steel Pulse did the same thing ultimately with Living Legacy in '99. You know, with taking this particular concept. But yeah, no. But the fact that they did it from this particular point, it was clear that this had to be the ultimate end result. This had to be what they would end up doing, and it was a perfect concept. And yes, jamming by definitely a standout. War, No More Trouble, which again, big feature, especially thanks to Rebel Music. What was that other? Oh, Punky Reggae Party, superior over the studio version. Which that was the other thing too. Punky Reggae Party was such a mysterious track it was first strictly in Jamaica, and then I think an edited version was issued in the UK as far as the studio version was concerned. But Punky Reggae Party, this live version was available everywhere, and thank God, because that's the other thing. The I3, that was Bob Marley reuniting with Lee Scratch Perry on the studio version, but the I3s had nothing to do with this one. The
Correct.
Wailers band had nothing to do with the original recording of Punky Reggae Party.
Right.
So that's the thing to consider. And so when you take into that was a great track though. It was a great track, but the Wailers dominated it. They put this tough gong stamp on it and totally. But how I dropped the bomb on my radio broadcast. That's what the Wailers did on the live rendition of Punky Reggae Party. This is the superior recording.
I agree.
Yeah. There's someone on Facebook named Tomas Jardum who's close with Chinna Smith, and he's been interviewing him a lot recently over the past week or so. Apparently, there are overdubs, studio overdubs on Babylon by Bus with Chinna on rhythm guitar, is what Chinna was saying. So I thought that was interesting that there's some overdubbing post
production.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised,
Yeah, not to knock it or anything, just an interesting piece of info that I found out.
Yeah.
Like where it fits, and then they just blend it in just right,
Right. Yeah.
I have seen that done before. That's been done before. It's still done, but I didn't know that they did it that early. All right, so now we have Survival. I think Sol's got a vinyl copy. Yep.
Right on.
Survival is number 5 on my list.
Oh, looks like you got an 86 copy right there.
Yeah.
Yep, 86.
Highlights for me are, of course, Babylon System, Ride Natty Ride.
Yes.
Favorite track off of there is Ambush in the Night.
Ambush in the Night. Boom.
Such a great track.
Yeah. I just love the whole dark tone of it.
I have it at number 4. So just an incredible album, great concept album. The artwork, just to start it off, I mean, what a statement it is with all the flags and all, just the various photos and the use of coloring too, with the borders and black and white as the main lettering for it. I didn't know until I watched Neville talk about it on the Bob Marley page, the artwork for it. I didn't know about this, what I thought was just a pattern at first, being actually, the
slave ship. Yeah.
The slave ship outline and kind of blueprint work. And I mean, that just adds so much too. I mean, it makes you, it's like, just like with Bob, it means you really have to study it closely. It's not everything's just, for glamour.
And it makes even more sense when you find out what it is, and then the words are right over it.
Right. Yeah. I also thought it was interesting, whether intentional or not, this is the year after Kaya. So I feel like it's almost Bob's being like, oh yeah, too light. Kaya, was Kaya too light for you? Okay, here, let's see how you rate this then. I'm gonna, every song is a hard hitting, political anthem.
Definitely intentional, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was definitely intentional.
Yeah.
For all and I literally for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Literally.
I have Bob puts some of his greatest anthems on an album here, and I think a lot of it too, because of its hard hitting, political protest concept. I think a lot of this album is overlooked. Wake Up and Live, Zimbabwe, Babylon System. It's weird. I can't find the one that's like everyone that, like, you know, the common or the kind of entry level fan would know this one. But yeah, Survival at you know, number 4. Again, it's just because there wasn't enough number 1 slots available. There's only one. If not, I mean, so many of these could be in my top choice.
Yeah. But yeah, just the fact that album caused such an upset.
Mm-hmm.
First, he was ridiculed for being soft on Kaya, which again made no sense to me.
Yeah.
And then when he flipped the script on him, then it's, oh, now he went too far.
Right.
They used the thick pen on the cover so that we'd never see the title itself. And then on the LP itself, then they scoop the title so that it's just not there. And the track they use as a sharp instrument, either a knife or a razor, and just cut it across so that when you play it, the needle will go from track to track.
Reggae at that time was not wanted by the South African government and of course by the people in South Africa, because if you were found like with a Bob Marley or a Peter Tosh tape, they would kick the shit out of you and the whole thing, break the tape or arrest you or whatever.
No, that level of white supremacy just is beyond disgusting.
Oh, that's just screaming right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Live I originally had at 8. I'm gonna have to actually switch that one up from that one to this one. So survival is 8 and live is 9, and I may even have to reconsider that particular factor. Here's the thing. It took me a very, very long time to obtain an actual copy of Survival. And that's what affected me in this particular case. I only got familiar with most of the tunes via live performances and compilations. You know, So Much Trouble in the World was on Rebel Music. I first heard Zimbabwe and Ambush in the Night on a very prominent, very well-known live concert performance that was among one of the first to be released on home video.
The Santa Barbara?
Yeah, that's the one, Santa Barbara.
Right. Yeah.
That's the one. So while I heard of Babylon System, I never heard of that for the longest time. Top Ranking I also never heard for the longest time. So now I'm a bit more familiar with those, and it's all comes all together in one package. And of course, Survival, solid, absolute solid. So this ranking has absolutely nothing to do with just like all of you, just like anything else. It has nothing to do with any lack of or more than, really. Although clearly the sound was beginning to change, from 78 to 79. Stark difference right now. So
Right.
now we're entering new era with more electronic based instruments. So that in itself does take a little bit of something in regards to that. But other than that, it was more so my inadvertent trouble in actually really obtaining one. But again, Ambush in the Night, Survival, Zimbabwe, just another amazing album from Bob Marley and the Wailers. Absolute. And he came back strong like a tough gong, which by the way, first time Tough Gong got started having branding outside of Jamaica. Now we started seeing it in the UK.
Uprising.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got the
UK.
Yeah. I saw the 25 stamp on there.
There you go.
All right. You guys ready for this?
Good.
Yeah.
This one's number 1 on my list.
Number 1.
Good choice.
This is what I call his seamless album.
Huh.
This one, start to finish, is seamless to the point of being absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Just when it starts off, with Coming In From the Cold. You know how many times I've listened to that song and tried to find one little speck of a flaw? It's impossible.
You know what's funny about that one though? Just to interject. If there was ever a song that he could have been accused of being commercial, that would be it. For
But
all intents, Go ahead.
thank God it didn't happen
Thank God it didn't
because I
happen.
love that song so much.
That was Santa on Coming In From the Cold too, right?
That's Santa on Coming In
That's
From the
Santa,
Cold.
right.
Real Situation. Again, seamless. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't think he could have sang it any better.
Any better.
Bad Card, We and Them, Work, Zion Train. That one just moves me right in my soul. Temper's Paradise, that one is like the oddball out.
Yeah,
You know, that's like
really interesting.
that's really interesting. Yeah.
Oddball, but tough as nails, man.
Oh, tell me about it. Okay, could you be loved? It is what it is. So I won't,
Right.
Forever Loving Jah, and then it ends on Redemption Song. Like I said, it took a long time to really think about it, and I said, I listened to this one so much, and it means so much to me that I put it at number one.
For me, it's at a strong number 2. And I love this album so much. Just the start, this might be my favorite album cover of Bob's.
It feels so strange seeing that Island Life 25
Yeah.
stamp on this one in particular, though. I just had to say that.
I just Neville Garrett hit it out of the park with this one to start off with, and then the classic, this has become an iconic shot of Bob and the Wailers. And then I really love the sun on the backdrop of it all too. And I think something about it too is knowing it's his last one that he would fully oversee be released, and having what is considered we'll get to Confrontation, but
yeah,
I do consider that one definitely like an add-on, even though I do consider it in the original listing. But just with this being Bob's last that he was able to see from start to finish, having it end on Redemption Song, I think it's just something really magical about that. And Coming In From the Cold, I love that track so much, and I love the bass line because I learned the bass line and played a cover of it with my band camp. At band camp, I learned the bass line for Coming In From the Cold and convinced my group to do a cover of it. We did it much slower because a 12-year-old me could not go as fast as Family Man could. It was more, we took it more down to like dun 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 and stuff. Although it probably more so sound like dun 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 dun. But I mean, I'm so fond of that first track. I love Bad Card too. I mean, I love everything on here. Even I found myself with Could You Be Loved, even though it's commercial, still playing it.
Yeah.
It's so good. And what's weird is, in some ways, Redemption Song is too played for me. It's I feel like they've grabbed it, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't have the punch it did originally when I first heard it. I still love it, especially the footage of him playing with Wire, the two of them while Bob's just singing it, Wire's on guitar. I also said it feels like a matured album. I feel like it feels like we're seeing Bob at the end. Like, he's reflective. I feel like the music has fully matured into what it is. The songwriting, I mean, just how reflective everything is. Talking from Redemption Song, Could You Be Loved, Pimper's Paradise is just such an interesting one. And we and them too, I feel like needs some attention. Like with this being, one that's just saying that, there's not an answer in this. In we and them, it's just kind of
we don't know.
It's left for interpretation. It's left for us to decide. It's almost like Bob's leaving message in some way or somehow. And but yeah, it's so close to being, I think, just like this and Survival and Rastaman Vibration. I think all are like the all killer. Get the Roger title of all killer, no filler.
Uprising is a solid album. Absolutely, from beginning to end. I have this in the ranking at 6, but I know this is much higher. For me, I know it's just hard to put. It really is that hard. I definitely grew up with this. I remember borrowing a copy from my neighbor next door. As a youth, rest his soul. Even though there was more work to be done, album-wise, this was Bob letting us know his work is. I mean, he wasn't giving up, but for what it's worth, let's look at it. Coming in from the cold, taking in everything that had happened before the assassination attempt, everything that happened with survival. We're coming in from the cold, and it's you that I'm talking to. What was the last line of the verse? The smartest.
The biggest man you ever seen was once a baby.
Biggest man you ever did see was once a baby. You see?
Yeah.
Which basically, speaks to the fact that, you have to
fear no man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fear no man, fear no obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Fear no obstacle because you think, because if you start thinking that the obstacle is too big for you, you will not even be able to you will not overcome it. Ultimately, you start thinking like that's what it is. So we're coming in from the cold, then we come in hard. Then the real situation. Look at everything that is beyond prophetic.
Yeah.
Ain't no use. They're not the evil one is not hiding it anymore. It's not hiding his wicked intentions and their wicked intentions anymore. Ain't no use. No one is stopping them now. Now, of course,
no one can stop them.
That does not give us any reason to stop the fight, to give up the fight. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But they're not gonna stop it now. That's the real situation. Bad card, it's one of my anthems.
Yeah.
My face can't get me out of the race. Working for the next day. It's a lovely transition.
Right.
And if you ever seen it when it was featured in the documentary Life and Debt, it becomes even more. It resonates even more. By the way, I didn't forget. As far as we and them, we don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. It ties in with real situation. We don't know how we and the people, both those who are the of evil and those who are the sheep of the evil. We don't know how we're never gonna work it out.
Yeah,
we really don't. Pimper's Paradise, an anomaly in itself, but also prophetic. Pimper's Paradise, Instagram. Hello.
Enough said.
Enough said. Every need got an ego to feed, and that one actually has a dub. Go figure. In the UK only. And of course, now we get to Forever Loving Jah. You hear the tone. You already hear the tone. It's enough to get you choked up. It's enough to get you choked up because this is before the last tune. You're hearing the I3s and other musicians and male musicians providing background vocal. It's more so background vocals than harmonies. It's not even harmonies really, if you notice. And Zeb, you remember some of the documentaries he's had when it was just him singing, doing rehearsal takes and whatnot.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you also hear the somber tone during that time as well. You know, no,
Yeah.
seriously, this he knew that this is why they call him a prophet. He knows what's going on. He knows what was to come. Redemption song. This is what I say to you. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Ending on a guitar. Him, Bob, and the guitar, and that's it.
Yeah.
Fini.
Yeah.
And I think what else is a interesting note too is the note that Redemption song ends off of. It's not a dun.
It's not a conclusive note.
No, it's yeah. And that's I think what leaves you even more just like wow. Like, you know, it's I
Yeah.
think that being the last note that Bob puts out, I mean, that's really interesting for me.
To me, that says just to say that if this is him telling us that this is his swan song, right? If that was the case, this is him saying, okay, this is my last works that I'm leaving to you, but it's not done yet.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how badass
Yeah.
Bob Marley was. Oh, and speaking of strange endings, forgot to mention the end of Satisfy My Soul on Kaya. What the hell was that?
Oh yeah, with that weird, yeah, that Confrontation, the posthumous album. What I really enjoy about this is the creativity of it. You know, it was basically making use of what they had left. Although I didn't really appreciate the fact that they remixed particular songs. One of them being, well, the two that the Meditations were on.
Right.
And again, it's just the whole thing with the original Tough Gong versions. What is the deal with them being so suppressed? You know?
Absolutely.
Because most people have never even heard the original Jamaican mix of Rastaman Live Up and Black Man Redemption.
Right.
You know, you only have heard it if you have the original Tough Gong 45.
Right.
It has not been
Strictly in
released
Jamaica.
outside of it. And so, yeah, the harmonies were overdubbed, which was a damn shame.
Right.
I didn't like it because of that, you know?
Yeah, you just barely hear the Meditations on Black Man Redemption, and I think they're almost completely out on Rastaman Live Up.
Mix up.
Naturally.
I like that one because of, again, the creativity of it.
Yeah.
It's based off of a demo tape. That's why you hear the vocal track isn't really studio quality. I spoke about this before. I don't get it on this line. I was born in the country right on top of the hill. I still remain. I know I will. But through your effing respect. And here's the thing. If he did say that, it makes no sense when you read the rest of it. Through your effing respect and through your false pride. Isn't that a contradiction? And it's quite obvious if you listen to it. It's obvious he's saying lack of respect.
Lack of respect, yeah.
And how again did Bunny sing it?
Oh, through your utter respect.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. Which again makes no sense, but
it was really makes no sense. And yeah, so there it is right there. So given the fact that the lyric, the one transcribing the lyrics to the cover, you know, hard enough to hear it as it was on the track. and then now the fact that the quality of the actual vocal of the actual demo tape itself, the being not up to standard quality, that makes
Yeah.
makes it even worse. That
Right.
makes it even worse for someone to trying to pinpoint that right there was clearly the most concentrated. I guarantee that has to be the most concentrated on point that for virtually all listeners, those of mix up. Everyone
Yeah.
who was listening to
Right.
that song was focusing, trying to figure out really exactly what did he say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
that was
I'm
pretty
just
neat.
gonna finish off with the last one that I really, really, really love, which is I Know. It was originally from the Rastaman Vibration sessions, but it wasn't finished. When it reaches the end, it's so beautiful, it's so powerful.
That is a wonderful song, man.
Even if you don't understand it at first, there's something in there telling you that you do, that you understand what is being said, and that's really the magic of a lot of Bob's songs, is that there's more than one meaning to it,
Right.
And this one is very straightforward, but just that end part.
Yeah.
In the end, it's at the bottom. It's at 9 for me. I'd say mostly because I feel the albums that he was able to fully oversee and give his input on top it. They're better.
Yeah.
I think there's only so much like leash or wiggle room you can give a posthumous album like that. And I think like I feel there's a little too much overdubbing. I feel like at times, maybe because of Bob's lack of, supervising it,
Right.
I feel like it's a little bit too basic of rhythm tracks at times.
Yeah.
And it feels too kind of thrown together. And I also think there's too much electronic components at times too, and getting into that mid 80s.
1983, yeah. That was when the synths really started kicking in.
Yeah. And so, at times it musically just kind of feels a little absent or empty. The highlights from me are Chant Down Babylon, Black Man Redemption, and Rastaman Live Up. I also think it's really interesting Stiff Necked Fools.
Yeah.
Because it's a remake of Wisdom. It's basically a remake of the Wailers track Wisdom, which I'd really be interested in figuring out, was that a Tosh Marley composition together? Because Peter goes on to release
Fools Die.
And
Right.
a couple years before this is put out. So I think it'd be interesting to learn more about it. It's not word for word Stiff Neck Fools and Fools Die and Wisdom. They all have their own differences. But I thought that was interesting to hear an updated version of an older Wailers track like that.
Right.
But yeah, just in general, it's a good album. It's enjoyable. Still Bob's least or worst, I guess, is how it's going to be put. First wasn't overseen by him for the full time. They were working with the scraps that were left over, and it's still 10 times better than a lot of people's best.
Incidentally enough, this is the 40th anniversary. This year, 2023, is the 40th year of Confrontation. It's still a fantastic album.
Yeah.
From when I heard it in 83, it was like, this is not even realizing at that time that he had actually died prior to that at that time, because I had that straight out in 1983. It was just not, just was oblivious to certain things at the time. But no, but I loved that album. It was strange seeing it with an Atlantic, distributed by Atlantic mark at that time. That's another thing. But anyway, besides that, this I guess partially on account of the fact that it has been that it was a posthumous release, and because, again, like I said, because of those electronic elements, especially on songs like Mix Up, it has been rather downplayed. Most people, this is the one particular album, in spite of the big tunes that came from it, especially Buffalo Soldier in particular.
Yeah.
In spite of that, and that's the big one from there. But there's some heavy tunes on there. Trench Town being one of them, like an absolute smash. Now that one was actually given an actual standalone release the previous year, 1982, strictly in Jamaica. And even with a couple of even using part of a different vocal take in there as well. There I swim through the seas of oppression. That was the original take that we got on that particular release. So we got a little bit of remix work even on that. But Trench Town still stands out as an excellent tune. Jump Naya Bingi, boss tune right there.
Yeah,
boss tune, highly underrated. But it's not as highly celebrated even by Tough Gong and Island. So it's highly unlikely, especially after all these years. The only thing we can do as of the date of this recording, we can only wait and see what happens over the course of the next half year. But it's seeming more and more highly unlikely that there
I
will
wouldn't
be
hold my breath.
a real concentration, high concentration on Confrontation, which, by the way, I have here at number 7.
All right, gentlemen, we did it.
Yeah, that's Bob.
That's the Bob ranking, and looking forward to part 3.